Welcome to the 5-Minute Warfare podcast from 5minutewarfare.com, where we dive into history's most pivotal battles and military strategies in around 5 minutes. If you enjoy the show and would like to support us, please consider buying us a coffee. Head on over to 5minutewarfare.com/coffee to see how. This is episode 27, the Battle of Lepanto, Christian Europe's last great naval victory. The Battle of Lepanto, fought on the 7th of October 1571, was one of the most decisive naval engagements in history. It was a clash between the Holy League, a coalition of Catholic maritime powers, and the Ottoman Empire, the dominant Muslim force in the Mediterranean. At stake was control over the sea routes that linked Europe, Africa, and Asia, as well as the balance of power between Christianity and Islam in the Mediterranean world. The victory of the Holy League was not just a military triumph, but also a symbolic one, marking the last great naval battle fought entirely with galleys and signalling the beginning of Ottoman decline at sea. The conflict was the culmination of decades of Ottoman expansion. Since the fall of Constantinople in 1453, the Ottoman Empire had steadily extended its influence across the Mediterranean, conquering key islands such as Rhodes and Cyprus and threatening Christian naval supremacy. The Venetians, the Spanish, and the papacy viewed Ottoman control of the seas as an existential threat to European trade and security. In response, Pope Pius V orchestrated the formation of the Holy League, an alliance that brought together Spain, the Papal States, Venice, and several smaller Italian and Maltese states. Under the command of Don John of Austria, the illegitimate son of Charles V, this coalition prepared for a decisive confrontation. The battle took place off the western coast of Greece, near the entrance to the Gulf of Corinth. The Holy League's fleet consisted of around 200 galleys, manned by an army of Spanish tercios, Venetian sailors, and soldiers from various European states. Facing them was the Ottoman fleet, commanded by Ali Pasha, comprising around 250 galleys and a force of highly trained janissaries. The Ottomans, long dominant in naval warfare, were confident of victory, believing their numerical superiority and battle-hardened troops would carry the day. As the battle began, the two fleets lined up in a formation reminiscent of a land battle, with their galleys acting as mobile fortresses. The Holy League's fleet was arranged in 3 divisions, with Don John commanding the center, Venetian forces on the left, and the Spanish-led Christian forces on the right. The Ottomans adopted a similar strategy, with their most experienced commanders positioned in key areas. The wind and sun favored the Ottomans early in the battle, giving them an initial advantage. However, the superior discipline and firepower of the Christian forces soon turned the tide. The Holy League had equipped its galleys with heavy cannons, while the Ottomans relied more on boarding tactics and hand-to-hand combat. As the fleets clashed, the Spanish tercios, elite infantry trained in musket and pike combat, proved decisive. On Don John's flagship, La Real, his troops stormed Ali Pasha's flagship, cutting down the Ottoman leader and raising the Christian banner in a dramatic turning point. Elsewhere, Venetian and Spanish gunners wreaked havoc on Ottoman ships, whose lighter construction made them vulnerable to cannon fire. The battle raged for several hours, with ferocious fighting across the decks of dozens of galleys. The janissaries fought with their usual tenacity, but without coordinated leadership after Ali Pasha's death, the Ottoman forces began to falter. The Christian right wing, led by the Genoese commander Andrea Doria, managed to outmaneuver the Ottoman left, while the Venetian forces, despite suffering heavy casualties, held firm against their foes. Eventually, as more Ottoman ships were destroyed or captured, the remaining vessels attempted to flee. By sunset, the Holy League had achieved a stunning victory, sinking or capturing nearly 200 Ottoman ships and killing thousands of enemy troops. The Ottomans lost over 30,000 men, including many of their best sailors and warriors, while the Holy League suffered around 7,500 casualties. The victory at Lepanto was a moment of jubilation for Christian Europe. It was celebrated as divine intervention, with Pope Pius V declaring that the Holy League had saved Christendom from an existential threat. The battle was immortalized in art, literature, and music, with painters such as Titian and poets like Cervantes, who fought in the battle and was wounded, commemorating the triumph. The significance of the victory was immense, as it halted Ottoman naval expansion and restored European confidence after years of defeats. However, despite its symbolic importance, the battle did not lead to a permanent shift in Mediterranean dominance. The Ottomans quickly rebuilt their fleet, and within a year they had restored much of their naval strength. Nevertheless, the loss of so many experienced sailors and janissaries at Lepanto weakened their ability to project power across the Mediterranean. Over time, European navies, particularly those of Spain and Venice, grew stronger, while the Ottomans struggled to maintain the same level of dominance. Lepanto was also the last great naval battle fought entirely with galleys. The engagement demonstrated the increasing importance of gunpowder weaponry and ship-mounted artillery, foreshadowing the transition to the era of sailing ships and naval cannons. While the Ottomans remained a formidable land power for centuries, their naval supremacy gradually declined, giving European states greater control over trade routes and colonial expansion. The legacy of the Battle of Lepanto endured far beyond the 16th century. It reinforced the idea of a unified Christian front against Ottoman expansion, influencing later European military and diplomatic efforts. It also marked a shift in the perception of the Ottoman Empire. Once seen as an unstoppable force, its vulnerabilities had been exposed. The battle remains a defining moment in Mediterranean history, a clash between empires, faiths, and military doctrines. While it did not bring an end to the conflict between Europe and the Ottomans, it was a crucial turning point that reshaped the balance of power in the region. The echoes of Lepanto can still be felt today, a testament to the lasting impact of one of the greatest naval battles ever fought. I hope you enjoyed that episode of 5-Minute Warfare from 5minutewarfare.com. If you did, please leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts, and while you're there, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. If you would like to support us more directly, please consider buying us a coffee. Head on over to 5minutewarfare.com/coffee to see how. You may also be interested in our other 5-minute podcasts. Check them out at 5minuteproductions.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.